Hey everybody, Some Gadget Guy here with another FFC vlog, a front-facing camera video blog. For this episode, I'm in a completely different surrounding. I'm actually at a PR company right now, and the news from MWC was just hitting, so I had to jump in front of a camera. Audio is going to be a little funky on this one compared to my normal setup, but we're shooting this today on the Nokia Lumia Icon, the front-facing camera on the Lumia Icon. And really, today's going to be another one of those sort of little ranty vlogs that I've been doing recently. Apparently, the FFC vlogs are going to be all about me complaining about stuff that I don't like. But today's topic is MWC, Samsung's Unpacked event, and the fact that they gave up all of their embargoes before the event actually took place. I'm actually shooting this during Samsung Unpacked. I know there's a little delay in me getting it uploaded, but I felt like there was no real reason for me to continue watching the event when all of the other big blogs had already released all of their first impressions and all of their new the new elements about what the Galaxy S5 and these new Galaxy Gear or Gear watches were going to be about. I mean, what's the fun of me sitting through an hour-long event if all of that information's already out there? And while I'm watching the event, I don't get to compete as a blogger or as a writer in being able to disseminate this news and talk about this news because I'm stuck on Twitter live tweeting the whole thing. And so that was just a big bummer. But unfortunately, it's starting to feel a little like the criticisms that Samsung has been getting about iteration versus innovation. So the Galaxy S5 is going to have a 5.1-inch screen, but unlike all of the rumors saying it was going to have some magical 2K display, it's going to be another 1080p AMOLED display. That's not too bad. I mean, the Galaxy S4 had a great ergonomic fit and finish to it, so you don't want to stray too far from what consumers are used to and what they're passionate about and what they like. But this feels sort of a little stale, you know, especially in a world of Galaxy Note 3s and LG G2s. You got us all worked up, the rumor mill, excuse me, got us all worked up about all this fancy new magical technology, and the reality, it's kind of a letdown. It's one of the main reasons why I don't cover a lot of rumors and leaks. It takes so much time chewing through the rumor mill, and most of the time they're wrong. But some of the cool things that are coming with the Galaxy S5 that I wasn't expecting. We are going to be seeing something that's partially waterproof. It's going to be water and dust resistant, so there's going to be a little flap on the bottom cover. And Samsung is throwing in a fingerprint scanner a la Apple. So in keeping the hardware button down at the bottom of the phone, that's also going to be used as a security device to help you unlock your phone with a swipe. I'm a little skeptical of that swipe action, especially at the bottom of a 5-inch screen, but I'm of course reserving my judgment until I get a chance to play with it. I actually really do like Apple's implementation where you just sort of hold it onto the button and it's able to scan your thumbprint or fingerprint from there. But again, Samsung's put out some really cool hardware in the past, and if they're going to be copying an Apple implementation, hopefully that swipe action works well and you're not flinging the phone out of your hands every single time you're trying to unlock it. But we are looking at a 2800 milliamp hour battery, which is good. I was really hoping for that magical 3000 milliamp hour benchmark, especially after playing with phones like the LG G2 and some of our phablets, which have 3000 milliamp hour cells. You know, you really want that as much runtime out of your device as possible. But again, in trading compromises, I'll happily accept waterproofing for a slightly smaller battery, just so that I know my phone is likely to last a 2-year contract if it ever takes a swim. And then also we're getting notes on an upgraded camera, 16 megapixel shooter. It doesn't sound like the sensor size is increasing. Probably going to be another combination of electronic image stabilization, just like the Galaxy Note 3. But again, I'm holding off reserving judgment on that camera, especially after having played with some incredible Nokia cameras and even the shooter on the LG G Flex, which we just put out a review on. Pretty substantial improvements, but we will see 4K Ultra HD video recording on that Galaxy S5, so that's definitely a step in the right direction. Now, if you'll excuse me, I just need to take a quick sip of coffee. As for the rest of the specs on the Galaxy S5, it looks pretty run-of-the-mill. Some version of the Qualcomm 800 is finally going to be making its way in there. So those of you rocking the Galaxy S4, you had that Qualcomm 600. Performance should improve, especially given that they're the same screen resolution. We're also looking at LTE versions versus just 3G versions or faux G versions. And we're probably looking at 2 gigabytes of RAM with 16 or 32 gigabyte storage options, and then the ability to add more storage via micro SD card. NFC, Bluetooth 4.0, IR blasters, it's pretty run-of-the-mill at this point. Happily, however, it looks like some of those software customizations that Samsung is notorious for are going to be toned down a little bit as we're starting to see that relationship between Google and Samsung start to blossom and bloom like a beautiful flower. And so Samsung hopefully won't be overly competing against services that Google already has out there. And so those S applications might be a little less in your face. And then moving on to Samsung smartwatches, we've got the Gear 2, which is an all metal enclosure with with the camera built into the watch body so that you can remove the watch band. This is a huge criticism for me on other watches, especially like on the Qualcomm Talk. I want the ability to swap that out because I kind of prefer picking what kind of watch band I'm gonna have. But we are looking at very similar specs between the Gear 2 and the Neo. The Neo is a slimmed down version of the Gear. So we're looking at 4 gigabytes of internal storage, a 300 milliamp hour battery, an IR blaster with Samsung's Play On software so that you can control your TV from your wrist, which is actually kind of cool if you're constantly hunting for your remote or you don't have a phone with an IR blaster on it. And then, thankfully, we're hearing them talk about IP67 water resistance. And this is a biggie for me because I get really squirrely around things like smartwatches if they're not waterproof because I occasionally like to wash my hands. And just to cover all of their bases, Samsung's also throwing in the Gear Fit, which is a streamlined, more Fitbit style experience, but it does have that AMOLED display, giving you a little bit more information as you're going through your day for notifications, and then also for helping you track all of your fitness stuff. Of the three, it's probably going to be the subtlest watch that you can wear on your wrist out of the Samsung stable of smart wearable technology. And in terms of software for all of this, the Galaxy Gear watches are going to be running Tizen, the Samsung operating system, which for a while there we were worried Samsung might run off and start making their own phones. But this looks like a really savvy application of that legwork so that they're able to capitalize on their own software stack. Also make sure that you've got a little consumer lock in there, so as you start investing in Samsung Watch apps, you're a little less likely to stray to someone else's app ecosystem. And unfortunately, we just don't have any information on when these things are going to launch and how much they're going to cost. Now, excitingly, for a lot of markets out there, the Galaxy S5 is set to launch globally April 11th, which means it should be in hundreds of markets ready to go. But oddly enough, Samsung's not talking pricing. We can be fairly confident that the 16 gigabyte model on carriers will probably go for some kind of $200 on 2-year contract sort of deal. But again, for a lot of you out there, we have no information on what the unlocked pricing is going to be for this phone. And that's maybe the most curious aspect of this whole Galaxy S5 launch is that for me, I'm actually kind of excited to play with the phone just to see what they haven't put into it. It's a Samsung getting back to basics, and I kind of like that aesthetic, focusing on what's important about the phone rather than just throwing tons of weird stuff out there, hoping something sticks. Now maybe we can talk about a little refinement, really customizing and tailoring the experience of owning a smartphone for whoever owns or is handling that phone. But it does leave me feeling a little underwhelmed. I don't want to be that guy where you need to make everything magical and wow me, but this is one of the big problems that Samsung has when expectations just start getting out of control. And they start sort of playing into that leak commentary and that rumor mill. And it gets everyone worked up to a point that when you actually release the real product, there's no way your product can live up to what we're hoping we'll see in some future phone or future device. Our imaginations are going to run wild with all of the magical things, Willy Wonka style, that you can put into a phone. And ultimately, that just leaves the entire experience of doing an event like Unpacked, which is usually a beautiful event. I love how theatrical and how dramatic Samsung will put their devices out on stage with orchestras and strings to really make it a classy affair. But why watch if all of those specs have already been leaked out to the press, and if all of the big blogs are already, putting up their big stories and their first hands-on and first impressions? I'm already seeing people say review of the Galaxy S5, and that's horse poop. So folks, what are you most excited about from MWC? Did this Samsung event knock it out of the park? Are you stoked for the Galaxy S5? Is that going to be the phone you're going to upgrade to? Are you looking at some of those Nokia devices which were released late last night and talked about for those low-cost, entry-level, developing market kind of solutions? Or are you hoping that some other company is going to come in and steal the show? Because we still have a little time left on MWC, and people are going to start talking about Sonys and HTCs. So what are you excited about? Definitely drop me a comment down below. Just to remind you all, this is a front-facing camera, an FFC vlog using the Nokia Lumia Icon. And I think this looks pretty sweet. Hopefully the audio came out well. I don't know. I'm excited to listen to it too. As always, folks, thanks so much for watching, for sharing, for subscribing, and getting into comments and debates and asking me questions down at the bottom of all these videos. You guys have been awesome to me, and I will catch you all on the next video.